May I request our backsec to process the electronic eligibility of these three bidders for... Tapos na ba yung DECA?
Yes, sir.
For the three bidders for contract
25.
ID number 23BC0035.
And Mr. Chair, for our last contract for this set of civil work projects, we have the 24BC0041. And for this contract, we have 3 participating bidders. Submitted via manual submission, we have Dandex Construction, HHK Construction, and OCP Construction. And no bid received via electronic submission.
Mr. Chair, the technical proposal of Dandex Construction under contract ID 24BC0039 passed the preliminary evaluation.
Thank you. Engineer Gulya.
Mr. Chair, the technical proposal of DECM Construction for the contract 23BC0039 passed the preliminary evaluation.
Thank you. Engineer Fernando.
Mr. Chair, for 24BC0041, technical proposal from Dandex Construction and technical proposal from HHK Construction.
For HHK Construction, may I request Mr. Tindok to evaluate your technical proposal? And for Dandex Construction, may I request Architect Abelia again to evaluate their proposal?
And lastly, for 24BC0041, technical proposal from OCP Construction.
And for OCP Construction, may I request Engineer Gulya to evaluate their proposal? So while waiting for the result of the other contractor, we will now
Mr. Chair,
Sige, just go on. Hindi natin bilang.
under contract ID number 24BC0039, it is a construction, no attached mayor's permit, DTI certificate, and financial statement. Okay lang ba ito?
Okay lang, we will determine in the electronic eligibility later on. We will process their electronic eligibility. So for these three bidder, we may now proceed to the processing of the processing of their electronic eligibility. So while waiting for the other contractors, we will now start opening on the technical proposal of the next set of advertisement It is supposed to be open yesterday, but it was postponed and the opening is set for today. So there are 10 projects, 10 civil works projects in all. And this is a CY 2023 projects. Lahat ito is repair of school buildings. So, to start with, we will start with contract ID number 23 BC 0222. The repair of school building at Tagatsur Elementary School, Claveria, Cagayan, located also in Claveria, Cagayan. And the scope of works is purely repair. The approved budget for the contract is 1,429,962 pesos and 43 centavos, with a contract duration of 128 calendar days. With this, may we know from our backsec if how many prospective bidder for this project?
Mr. Chair, for 23BC0222, we have 2 interested bidders. Via manual submission, we have RJJ Aristotle Builders and Construction Supply and JPO Builders and Construction Supply. And no bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, the technical proposal submitted by HSK Construction for contract ID number 24BC0041 passed the initial evaluation.
Thank you. Mr. Tindok.
Also, with this construction, Mr. Chair, past initial evaluation for contract ID number 24BC004.
Thank you. Architect Abella.
Mr. Chair, for OCP Construction, in their list of eligibility documents, in their certificate of field depth registration, the pickup license is expired, but they attached the updated pickup license.
Okay, we can still consider the bid. Ano yung kulang?
In the PhilJEPS registration.
PhilJEPS, in the certificate of PhilJEPS registration, under their list of eligibility documents, the pickup license
Expired.
was expired on June 30, 2023. But they attached the updated pickup license.
Kahit na, sir. Even though they attach the updated pickup license,
Walang
they have to update it in the PhilJEPS registration certificate.
So the OCP construction is disqualified for this project. No PhilJEPS. So we will now process the electronic eligibility for the 2 contractor, the Dandex Construction and HSK Construction. So OCP Construction is qualified. So that ends for the processing of electronics eligibility for the first set of advertised project. So we will now proceed to the first project on the second set of advertised project.
Mr. Chair, for 23BC0222, technical proposals from RJJ Aristotle Builders and Construction Supply and technical proposal from JPO Builders and Construction Supply.
So for the technical proposal of DPO Builders and Construction Supply, may I request our accountant to evaluate the technical proposal? And for RJJ Aristotle Builders and Construction Supply, may I request Engineer Fernando to evaluate their proposal. So, while waiting again for the result of the two contractors, may we now proceed to the next project with contract ID number 23BC 0223. Repair of school building at Colao Elementary School, Claveria, Cagayan, located also in Claveria, Cagayan, with the scope of work purely repair, and the approved budget for the contract is 1,355,795 pesos and 99 centavos, with a contract duration of 94 calendar days. So again, may we know from our backsec if how many interested bidder for this project?
Mr. Chair, for 23BC 0223, we have 2 participating bidders. Via manual submission, we have Marta Construction and 5 RDCAC Construction, and no bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair. Technical documents from Marta Construction for contract ID number 23BC 0223. And also for 23BC 0223, technical documents from 5RD Keck Construction.
For 5 RDK construction, may I request Engineer JB Tesani to evaluate the technical proposal. And for Marta Construction, may I request Engineer Hazel Onciano to evaluate also the technical proposal.
Mr. Chair, the technical proposal of RJJ Aristel Builders and Construction Supply for the contract 23BC 0222 passed the preliminary evaluation.
Thank you, Engineer Fernando.
Mr. Chair, for JPO Builders, for 23BC 0222, he passed the preliminary evaluation.
Thank you, Mrs. Raksak. So we will now proceed to the processing of their electronics eligibility of these two prospective bidders for contract ID number 23BC 0222. So while waiting for the result of the other two contractors, we will now proceed to the next project with contract ID number 23BC 0224, repair of school building at Alimwan Elementary School, Claveria, Cagayan, located also in Claveria, Cagayan, and the scope of work is purely repair, with a approved budget for the contract of 1,429,962 pesos and 43 centavos, with a contract duration of 94 calendar days. So again, may we know from our backsec if how many interested bidder for this project?
Mr. Chair, for 23 BC 0224, we have 2 participating bidders. We have BA Lagaso Builders and 5 RDKEC Construction. And no bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, for contract ID number 23BC0223, for Marta Construction, in the Annex A of the PhilJEP's registration, the DTI certificate is expired and the pickup license is expired. There, yes, sir. So therefore, Mr. Chair, Marta Construction failed in the preliminary evaluation on its technical proposal.
Mr. Chair, also for 23 BC 0223, 5 RDK Construction passed the initial evaluation on his technical documents.
You only consider one.
For 23 BC 0224, technical proposals from the 2 participating bidders, 5 RDKEC Construction and BA Lagaso Builder.
For BA Lagaso Builder, may I request Mr. Tindok to evaluate the technical proposal. And for 5 RDKEC, may I request also Architect Abelia to evaluate their technical proposal. So while waiting for the result of these 2 contractors, we will now proceed to the next project with contract ID number 23BC 0225, repair of school building at Buena Vista San Isidro Elementary School, Claveria, Cagayan, also located in Claveria, Cagayan. And the scope of work is a repair. The approved budget for the contract is 1,296,759 pesos and 48 centavos, with a contract duration of 117 calendar days. Again, may we know from our backsec if how many interested bidder for this project?
For 23 BC 0225, we have received 3 bid proposals via manual submission from BJM JB Construction and Supply, from JPO Builders and Construction Supply, and OCP Construction. And no bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair.
Ano yung una? BJMP? MJP? Sige. So we'll now proceed to the opening of their technical proposal. BJMB.
For 23BC 0225, technical proposal from OCP Construction.
For the technical proposal of OCP Construction, may I request again our Madam Accountant to evaluate the technical proposal.
And technical proposal from JPO Builders and Construction Supply for 23BC 0225.
For JPO Builders and Construction Supply, may I request Engineer Flordan to evaluate their proposal.
And from the third participating bidder for contract
BG.
23 BC 0225, technical proposal from BJMJB Construction and Supply. Hindi ko mabasa aja. Basit.
BJ, MJB. Huh? B? Ibig nabasa? Ay, ito eh. Construction and Supply. For BJMJB, Construction and Supply, may I request Engineer Hazel Luciano to evaluate their technical proposal.
Mr. Chair, 5 RDK Construction passed the initial evaluation on his technical documents for contract ID number 23BC 0224. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Architect Abella.
Likewise, Mr. Chair, for contract ID number 23BC0224, submitted technical documents of the Nagaso Builders past the initial evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Tindok. We will now process the electronic eligibility of these two prospective contractors for project 23BC0224. So while waiting for the result of the other bidder, may we now proceed to the next project with contract ID number 23BC0226, repair of school building at Santiago Elementary School, Claveria, Cagayan, located at Claveria, Cagayan. Scope of work is a repair. The approved budget for the contract is 1,399,956 pesos and 88 centavos, with a contract duration of 95 calendar days. Again, may we know from our backsec if how many interested bidder for this project?
Mr. Chair, for 23BC 0226, we have 3 participating bidders. Submitted via manual submission, we have BJMJB Construction and Supply, JPO Builders and Construction Supply, and Flavi Civil Engineering Construction. And no bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair.
We will now proceed to the opening of their technical proposal.
Mr. Chair, OCP Construction passed the preliminary evaluation for 23BC 0225.
Thank you, Madam Accountant.
Mr. Chair, for JPO Builders Construction Supply, passed the preliminary evaluation of their technical proposal for the contract 23BC 0225.
Thank you, Engineer Fernando. JP.
Mr. Chair, for contract ID number 23BC0225, BJMJB Construction and Supply passed the initial evaluation on its technical proposal.
Bidder for contract ID number 23BC0225.
Mr. Chair, for OCP, for 23BC 0225, I was not able to notice that the pickup license was expired last June 30, 2023, and in his list of eligibility documents. So, although they attached the updated copy.
We can consider the proposal of OCP Construction. Ano yung kanya? Ay, PhilJeps na ba yun? Ay, kung PhilJeps hindi ah. Kung yung kwan lang,
Kung yung attachment lang sana sa
Oo.
pero sa
Yes.
ano ba yung mga OCP kanina na? Will only consider the bid of the two contractor, the BJMJP Construction Supply and DPO Builders and Construction Supply. So OCP Construction disqualified due to not updated PhilJeps registration.
Mr. Chair, for 23BC 0226, I have here the technical proposals of the three participating bidders, BJM JB Construction and Supply, JPO Builders and Construction Supply, and Flavi Civil Engineering Construction.
Okay, for Plabi Civil Engineering and Construction, may I request Engineer Golia to evaluate the technical proposal. For DPO Builders and Construction Supply, may I request also Ms. Engineer Ponciano. And for the PJMJB Construction and Supply, may I request Engineer Tesani to evaluate their technical proposal. So while waiting for the result of the three bidder, we will now proceed to the next project with contract ID number 23BC 0227. Repair of school building at Tayat Elementary School, Barangay Sigiran, Abulug, Cagayan, located in Abulug, Cagayan. And the scope of work is a repair. The approved budget for the contract is 1,428,049 pesos and 22 centavos with a contract duration of 114 calendar days. So may we know from our backsec if how many prospective bidder for this project?
Mr. Chair, for 23BC 0227, we have 2 participating bidders who submitted their proposal via manual submission. We have Oliva Design and Construction and KBL Builders Construction, and no bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair. Technical proposal from KBL Builders Construction for 23BC 0227.
For KBL Builders, may I request Architect Abelia to evaluate the technical proposal.
And technical proposal from Oliva Design and Construction for contract 23BC 0227.
For Oliva Construction, may I request Mr. Tindok to evaluate the technical proposal. So while waiting again for the result of the other contractors, may we now proceed to the next project with contract ID number 23BC 0228. Repair of school building at Santa Praxedes High School, Santa Praxedes, Cagayan. Located at Santa Praxedes, Cagayan. The scope of work is a repair. The approved budget for the contract is 3,088,000 pesos only, with a contract duration of 122 calendar days. So again, may we know from our back secretariat if how many bidder for this project?
For 23BC 0228, we have 2 participating bidders. Submitted via manual submission, we have JB Alcantara Builders and OCP Construction, and no bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, the technical proposal submitted by Flavi Civil Engineering Construction under contract ID 23BC 0226 passed the initial evaluation.
Mr. Chair, for contract ID 23BC 0226, JPO Builders and Construction Supply passed the initial evaluation on its technical proposal.
Mr. Chair, also for JMJB for contract ID number 23BC0226 passed the initial evaluation on his technical document.
Thank you, Engineer Tesani. We will now proceed to the processing of the electronic eligibility of these three prospective bidders for project 23BC0226.
Mr. Chair, for 23BC0228, I have here the technical proposal from the two participating bidders, OCP Construction and JB Alcantara Builders.
For OCP Construction, may I request Engineer Hazel Luciano to evaluate the technical proposal, and JB Alcantara Builders, may I request also Engineer Tesani to evaluate the technical proposal. So while waiting again for the result of the other contractors, we will now proceed to contract ID number 23BC0229, repair of school building at Malilitaw Elementary School, Claveria, Cagayan, located in Claveria, Cagayan. The scope of work is a repair work. The approved budget for the contract is 1,355,795 pesos and 99 centavos, with a contract duration of 123 calendar days. So may we know from our backsec if how many interested bidder for this project?
Mr. Chair, for 23BC0229, we have three participating bidders who submitted their proposal via manual submission. We have BJM JB Construction and Supply, JPO Builders and Construction Supply, and KBL Builders Construction. No bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we will now proceed in the opening of their technical proposal.
Mr. Chair, the submitted technical proposal of Oliva Design and Construction for contract ID number 23BC0227 passed the initial evaluation.
Thank you. Mr. Tindok.
And also with KBL Builders Construction, passed the initial evaluation for contract ID number 23BC0227, Mr. Chair.
So we will now process the electronic eligibility of these two contractors for project 23BC0227.
Mr. Chair, for contract ID number 23BC0228 for OCP Construction, again from Annex A of the PhilJobs registration, the pickup license is expired. Therefore, OCP Construction failed in the evaluation on its technical proposal.
So outright disqualification for OCP Construction.
Mr. Chair, for 23BC0228, JB Alcantara Builders passed the initial evaluation on his technical component.
So we have a loan bidders for contract ID number 23BC0229. It's only JB Alcantara Builders. So we will now process the electronic eligibility for JB Alcantara Builders and Construction Supply.
Mr. Chair, technical proposals from the three participating bidders for contract ID 23BC0229. KBL Builders Construction, JPO Builders and Construction Supply, and BJM JB Construction and Supply.
So for the technical proposal of BJMJB, may I request Engineer Gulia to evaluate the technical proposal? And for JPO Builders and Construction Supply, may I request Engineer Onciano? And for KBL Builders, may I request Engineer JB Tesani to evaluate the technical proposal. So while waiting for the result of the other bidder, we will now proceed to the next project with contract ID number 23BC0230, repair of school building at Curva Elementary School, Curva, Pamplona, Cagayan. Location at Pamplona, Cagayan. The scope of work is a repair. The approved budget for the contract is 1,930,000 pesos only, with a contract duration of 130 calendar days. So again, may we know from our backsec if how many interested bidder for this project?
For 23BC0230, we have 2 participating bidders. Submitted via manual submission, we have Oliva Design and Construction and KBL Builders Construction. No bid received via electronic submission, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, for contract ID number 23BC0229, JPO Builders and Construction Supply passed the initial evaluation on its technical proposal.
Mr. Chair, also for KBL Builders, for contract ID number 23BC0229, passed the initial evaluation on its technical proposal.
Likewise with BJMJB, Mr. Chair, the technical proposal passed the initial evaluation.
Mr. Gulia, we will now process their electronics eligibility of these 3 prospective bidders for contract ID number 23BC0229. So while waiting for the result of the other 2 bidders, sorry.
Mr. Chair, for 23BC0230, technical proposals from the 2 participating bidders, KBL Builders Construction and Oliva Design and Construction.
For the technical proposal of KBL Builders, may I request Mr. Tindok to evaluate the proposal? And for Oliva Design and Construction, may I request also Architect Abelia to evaluate their technical proposal? So while waiting for the result of the other 2 contractors, we will now proceed to the next project. Last but not the least, with contract ID number 23BC0231, repair of school building at Claveria East Central School, Claveria, Cagayan, located in Claveria, Cagayan, and the scope of work is repair. The approved budget for the contract is 1,355,795 pesos and 99 centavos, with a contract duration of 94 calendar days only. So may we know again from our backsec if how many bidder for this project?
Mr. Chair, for 23BC0231, we only have 1 participating bidder. Submitted via manual submission, we have VG Alcantara Enterprises. VG, as in victory. VG Alcantara Enterprises. And no bid received via electronic submission. Mr. Chair, technical proposal from VG Alcantara Enterprises for contract ID 23BC0231.
May I request Engineer Marjan Gulia to evaluate the technical proposal of VG Alcantara Enterprises. Vincent.
Mr. Chair, the submitted original technical proposal of Oliva Design and Construction passed the initial evaluation for contract ID number 23BC 0230, Mr. Chair.
Likewise, Mr. Chair, for KBL Builders, he submitted technical proposal for contract ID number 23BC 0230 pass the initial evaluation.
Mr. Chair, for VG Alcantara Enterprises, in their list of eligibility documents for their pickup license, no data. Annex A of their Certificate of Field Jobs Registration. Walang data yung pickup license, pero they attached the pickup license. Hindi updated.
We will determine later in the processing of their electronics eligibility. Field Jobs ba na? Field Jobs? It is qualified. Loan bidder pa naman.